Hi, welcome back to my channel, Your Everyday Joe. My name is Joe. Today we're going to do something a little easier. You can take a look at what we're going to be prepping today right on the side here. We're going to be making something quick and easy for breakfast. I woke up this morning, I just had to have something nice for breakfast. We're going to make it in the Power Air Fryer oven. You can make it in any oven. I'm going to leave the ingredients in the description down at the bottom. You can see what this looks like in the final product here on the side here. So let's get started. Like I said, this recipe is pretty easy. All I used is 2 eggs, 2 frozen hash brown patties, 2 breakfast sausage links, 2 cheese slices. You can use any style. I selected some Swiss for mine, some salt, pepper, some chives. I used some dried chives. You can use fresh chives and onions. Put some onion powder, some garlic powder. I used 2 tablespoons of water, and I used that just to loosen up the egg a little bit, and 1 small loaf pan, as you can see here. So what I did is I partially defrosted the patties and the 2 sausage links in the microwave for maybe about 30 seconds, just to kind of take the edge off of it. Placed it on the rack and into the air fryer oven. I set it for 400 degrees Fahrenheit. And cooked them for about 10 minutes or until the patties got crispy, which was somewhere around 7-8 minutes, 9 minutes if you want it extra crispy. I placed the entire rack around the center. I didn't want it too high because the heat on these ovens does come up from the top down and blows the hot air over it. So I didn't want anything to burn, so I put it about the middle or lower third of the oven. And if you notice, a nice little trick too is on the catch tray, the oil pan at the bottom. If you want less cleanup, just cover it up with some tinfoil. That'll help the cleanup part of it. As everyone knows, we don't like cleaning. The cleaning part is the worst part of the breakfast. All right, so I cracked the 2 eggs, put them in the container here. I added some black pepper, some garlic powder in it. Then we're going to put some salt. I use the pink Himalayan salt. I just like to flavor it. And they say it's supposed to be better for you, so I use that. Let's put in the dried chives, just a couple pinch or a small handful of it. Then we're going to go into and add the garlic powder, and the onion powder was already in there. Had put that in earlier. We're going to beat up the eggs a bit, just to mix everything in. You want to make sure that you get a nice smooth consistency, just so it blends everything together. All the seasoning is inside the in the mixture. Now I'm going to add a couple tablespoons of water because I noticed the egg is kind of thick. I want to have it a little bit more fluffy, so I want it to puff out a little bit. So I added some egg. You can add a little bit of milk or cream. Again, just a dab in there, just to loosen it up a little bit. And let's just mix this all together, just to make sure it's all incorporated. Okay, and I think that's about it. Set that aside. And we're going to take the tray. Let's just fix this up a little bit. I want to make sure it's flat so it doesn't wobble and fall and spill all over the place in the oven. So then we're going to take some cooking spray. I'm going to spray the pan just to make sure that the egg pulls away from it. Nothing sticks to it. It'll make life a lot easier when it's done. Okay, now that the patties and the sausages are all done, you can see that they're pretty toasted up. I mean, you can eat them just like this. I just like to get a little fancy with it, just to make it seem like we're doing something very special for breakfast for ourselves. Make us feel worthy of the breakfast. Okay, so we're going to get the knife here. We're gonna measure it out. Sometimes the patties are a little smaller. This time they seem a little tight in the container, so I'm going to trim off one of the edges here, maybe about a ½ inch or so on both of them. Oh, don't worry, we're going to use the rest of it in the recipe anyway. We're going to fill in some of the other spots. So now we're going to take the tray, we're going to lay the patty at the bottom, set these sausages right here on the top, and make like a little pyramid or a pie layer. Okay, so we want to make sure everything kind of sits in there nicely. And see, you have the patty at the bottom, the 2 sausages, patty at the top. It's okay if it's got a little space in it because the egg is going to fill all that. So these strips that I just cut off, we're going to probably just break them up, throw them on the edges here, just to fill in the spots. You can put them along the sides. It doesn't really matter. Oh, you can eat them. So now that we have that set here, we're going to pour the egg mixture. We're going to give it a little stir here and just pour it into the pan. You want to make sure you don't use too much. You don't want to overfill it because this is going to puff out. I usually keep a rule of thumb about 2/3 or 3/4 of the way up on the pan, and just make sure you give it a little tap, make sure everything seats nicely, and we'll get it into the oven. We'll put it in the same on the same rack that we had. I'm going to put that on the rack, and we're going to slide it in about the middle of the oven. We don't want it too high to the top because it may burn the patty. So let's put it in there. You can see it's about mid oven, midway in the oven. Close it, and I set the Airfryer oven for about 400 degrees for about 8 minutes. I'm going to keep an eye on it because again, I want to make sure I don't burn the eggs or the mixture. But we're going to take a look at it periodically just to make sure that it does cook all the way through and it doesn't burn. So we'll come back when that is done. Okay, next you can see here the mixture is all set. It's all one piece. It's no more liquid in there. So while it's still hot, I'm going to put the cheese on it. Probably just going to fold it, just kind of wrap it up like a nice little gift here. Fold it up nice. So just tuck it all in there. And again, you can just lay it on the top. You can use shredded cheese and just put a handful on top. Either way, it doesn't matter. It's going to melt and kind of bind everything together. So we're going to give it another couple minutes. And as soon as it's done, we'll take it out. I only cooked it, like I said, for about a minute or two, or until the cheese starts melting or gets a little crispy around the edges. All right, so this is what it looks like. And we're going to let it cool a little bit, and we're going to try to pull it out of the pan. It's still kind of hot here. And let's see if we can pull that out. We'll use a knife here just to go around the edges just to loosen it up so it pops right out. It should pop right out when we tap it upside down. So as we feel it's pretty warm. It's not hot to the touch, so we'll just tap it down so it comes out. As you can see, it really looks good. It comes up with a nice little loaf. And again, this could be a 1 serving or 2 serving, depending if you're doing it for a full breakfast or a brunch. I think it's either way. I'm gonna end up eating the whole thing anyway. So let's cut it and take a look, make sure it looks good on the inside here. And yeah, it looks good. Sausage is all the way cooked through. The patties are cooked and crispy around the edges. Looks good to eat. We're gonna slice it up and I'm gonna chow down on this and enjoy it. So I'm gonna cool off just a little bit more. It is still warm. And you can make this with bagels. You can toast up some bread and make it into a sandwich if you want. I'm just gonna cut a slice here and give you an idea here of how this looks all set up. We'll make it look nice and pretty for the end picture. Wow, that looks good. It smells wonderful. So this is we're gonna cut into it and take a bite out of it. I hope you enjoyed the recipe. Let me know if you like it. If you don't like it, if you do like it, subscribe and give me a like. I accept all comments and criticisms. Well, enjoy and happy eating.